welcome to my channel in case you're new here, which you probably are because I'm also new here. Today I'm going to be doing my February book wrap-up. This month I read a total of 12 books. A majority of these books I did read from the library, so physically I only have 3 to share with you guys. Let's get right into it. The first book that I read this month was the DollMaker. I gave this book 4 stars. If you want a book that's like a mystery, it has a serial killer and a romance subplot, 10 out of 10 recommend it. I did get this book through NetGalley, I just want to disclose it, but my opinion is my own. The second book that I read this month was The Queen of None. I gave this book 3 stars. It was a keen author retelling, but through the eyes of like his forgotten sister. I didn't like it because it was really slow paced and the romance subplot was practically not there, and I have a preference for reading books that have romance subplots. It just wasn't for me, but I'm sure the book is for somebody. I did also get this book through NetGalley. Again, my opinions are my own. And the third one I read this month, I have physically, which is The Noticer. I also gave this one 3 stars. This has an interesting premise, but the way that it went down in the book was just so odd. Essentially, there's this old man who shows up into people's lives and gives them a different perspective on the situation that they're going through. And the perspective that he provides is a good perspective, but I don't know, the way that he was doing it was just so abrasive. It's a good book though. I overall enjoyed the book. I just don't like how he inserted himself into people's lives. Okay, the next one that I read was The Cursed Son. I gave this one 4 stars. It ends on a cliffhanger. If you don't want to read a book that ends on a cliffhanger that is part of an ongoing series, don't read this one. Personally, loved it, would recommend it. After that one, I read a Harry Potter book. I read The Goblet of I read The Goblet of Fire. So I am reading this series with my son. This book, I'm giving it 5 stars. I don't know if it's because the book is that awesome, the nostalgia, or the fact that I'm reading it with my son, but 10 out of 10, if you've never read the Harry Potter series, go pick it up, especially if you like the movies. There's like an entire additional storyline going on in these books that has to do with the elves and Hermione. So definitely recommend reading the Harry Potter books if you have not read them yet. 10 out of 10. Plus, it's a good fall read in my opinion. After that, I read The Darkest Corners of My Heart. I gave this one 4 stars. I loved it. This is Forbidden Love age gap. I do think that the man was a little bit like immature, but it was like a quick read. I really enjoyed it. This is the second one in a series. I did also receive this one through NetGalley, but again, my opinions are my own. I am gonna go and read the first one. The first one follows her older brother. So in the first book, she's actually like 4 or 5 years old. And in this book, she's all grown up. So I'm gonna circle back and read the first one in that series. And I just wanna add that this book makes for a great palate cleanser if you read a lot of fantasy books. Just wanna throw that in there. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. The next one that I read was The Husband's Secret. I gave this one 5 stars. Let me tell you how when I was first reading it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a 3-star book because it was just good. But the main character was kind of annoying me because she was taking too long to read the letter. But when you get to those last chapters in the book, oh my God, so much happens. I literally sobbed at the ending of the book. It was really good. 100%, like out of all the books I have on here, this is my second favorite one that I read this month, and I definitely recommend that you add it to your list of TBRs. After reading The Husband's Secret, I also picked up The Witch Collector. I give this one 3 stars because the timeline is a little bit odd. It spans over 2 weeks, and then there's one scene that I think was just drug out too much. But the premise of it is really cool. The world building in it was really well done. And even though it was written odd, I was still really into the story. So I would recommend picking it up. I feel like this is a book that would be somebody's favorite. It does end on a bit of a cliffhanger, but this series I think has already all 3 books out. I don't think it's an ongoing series. After reading The Witch Collector, I read The Exchange of Love. I gave this one 2 stars. It was so badly written, and the relationship building was horrible. This is the one that follows this like ghost story, and the premise of it is really good. It's just the book is horribly written. I did get this one also through NetGalley. Again, my opinions are my own. I feel like this book could be for someone, but that someone is not me. After reading The Exchange of Love, I read The Land of Gods. I gave this one 3 stars because it had a really weird romantic relationship building, but I was engaged throughout the entire book. So again, I feel like this is one of those books that could easily be someone's favorite. It just didn't make it onto my list of favorites, but I did gobble it up, and I do want to read the next one that's coming out. I did get this book through Book Siren, but my opinions are my own. For my self-help book of the month, I read Unfudge Yourself. I liked it. I gave it 3 stars because it makes for a really good reminder book. It has concepts that I've already read before in other books, and I like how direct it is. However, if you're new to self-help books, I would definitely recommend this one. It's short, it's simple, it's direct. I like it. Hey, I made a little mistake and forgot to include one of the books. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide that book in here where it was supposed to go, but for whatever reason, I just skipped over it completely. And I don't want to refilm the entire video, so I'm so sorry. This Girl by Colleen Hoover. I gave this book 4 stars. This book is part of her Slammed series, and it's just the first book, but from the love interest's perspective. The reason I liked it was because it also included scenes from their honeymoon in between. If you like Colleen Hoover, you'll end up liking this book. If you don't like Colleen Hoover, you probably won't like this book. I know there's a lot of controversy over this author. I personally think that her books are easy to read and they're phenomenal palette cleansers. So yeah, let's get back into the video. Again, I am so sorry for this situation right here. I'll do better in March. Okay. Now it's time for the last book that I read this month and possibly my favorite, The Inheritance Games. I so love this. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. I'm dying to pick up the next books, but I can't because this one I'm reading as part of a book club book, so I have to wait for everybody else before I start the next one. But I love it. If you haven't read this series yet, do yourself a favor, pick it up, read it. It's phenomenal. And those are all the books that I read in February. If you've read any of those or any of those are your favorites, let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye.